And the good news about this, and I'm open to hearing all of the critiques, is that Trump is making positive externalities that come from this. And most importantly, I would hope that as Americans, we would look at the negative and the positive and weigh it honestly, rather than just allowing our partisanship to determine or predetermine whether we think that this is a good thing or a bad thing. Again, if we can agree that there's a problem, then somebody's got to come up with a solution. And if the solution that Trump is offering is not what you like, I would welcome people in this room to offer up a solution that they think would work. I'll go ahead and yield and welcome Moose to the room.
Thanks, Mojo. Hey, Hansel. Interesting. I don't think it's a good idea. I really wish we tried this time in a Republican mayor-run city, just to flip the script. So you don't have the expectations of someone like myself on the left coming up here and saying, "Oh, no bad Trump, dictator Trump." I don't like. I think people. It's like this knee-jerk reaction. I think people are underestimating the role of police. It's not just about catching the bad guy. I mean, most police departments, urban police departments, populations of similar to DC, which I think is like approximately 600,000 or more, have a whole dedicated task force specifically to address gangs in their areas. Because I can assure you, the average beat cop has no interest in interacting with gang members. They want to get home to. So I think it's like, all right, great, let's bring in the National Guard. So they're all going to just scoop them up in their really pristine, clean uniforms, an example. But it's far more than just getting the bad guy. It's knowing the streets. Like the National Guard does not know urban streets and how to navigate. So I think we are absolutely opening Pandora's box here to send in the National Guard for any type of indication that whatever city's violence or crime is out of control. Anson, I know you have a strong military background. I don't know if anyone can speak with the legalities and logistics. DC is a very unique, district because it is technically not a state. Obviously, he pulled a similar stuff in the LA situation with ICE and sent them there. But the governor was able to overrule that. So I don't know how it works with DC, but I'm interested to see what folks' perspectives are. Again, I urge you to look at this not from which side of the aisle you're on, but as a matter of practicality. And sending in the National Guard, they love trained law enforcement who know the streets better than anyone.
Hey, I want to say this real quick. I think this is important. Like some of you guys say, like they think it's necessary, but it is a problem. But like the numbers just simply don't say that. See the numbers in 2024, violent crime was down 35% from the prior year, which made it a 30-year low in violent crime. And this year, to build on that, violent crime is down another 26% in Washington, D.C. Robbery down 32%. Murder down 32%, robbery 39%, carjacking down 53%, assault with a deadly weapon down 27%. So for him to frame that DC have some violent crime problem, it just false. And it's false about the most major cities. Violent crime is down in most major cities. So this whole, can I finish? So this whole, we need to do something about violent crime. I mean, this country has been doing something about violent crime for the last 25 years or more.
Well, just to counteract that, the DC Commission, the police, they were cooking for the crime reports. There was
and I don't know enough about DC to get into the specifics, but typically in a city, if they want, if a mayor wants to get reelected, they will work with a police chief that will report less crime, so the crime statistics will show that crime is down. And if the mayor is in good standing and needs to get budget for police, then the crime stats will go up. And everything's reported so they can get the budget to be able to hire more police officers. So the collection of stats, of criminal stats, is, what's the methodology? Has it changed? And if you do a little search, it looks like the methodology in DC for collecting crime stats has dramatically shifted since 2019. You're comparing crime stats from one methodology to another. There's going to be a difference. Again, what that difference is, I don't know.
The NBC article that reports that one of the police officers was actually suspended for cooking the data in DC. So you can check that out.
Hey, this is John. Moderators, I would like to tell you the prompt that I put into Grok. How should President Trump deploy the U.S. Reserve military forces, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard to U.S. sanctuary cities? Asking tough questions on Clubhouse. This is Grok's response. John Kitover, President Trump could invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy reserves for supporting ICE in mass deportations and securing high crime areas in sanctuary cities like New York City or LA. Focus on coordination with local compliant forces, prioritizing public safety and legal enforcement while minimizing civil unrest. This aligns with his executive orders against jurisdictions shielding criminals.
So it sounds like he's not over his skis legally, is what Grok is telling us.
We had started this conversation earlier. Usually
You're my number
high
one fan.
in DC, and I thought that was a valid point that he deserves credit for. Also, I asked Grok 3 questions, and the link is in the chat for people who are curious about has the crime gone down? Because someone had made the argument that crime is at a 6-year low. And Grok is a little inconsistent with that data, but it also depends on what crime are you talking about. They didn't have the jaywalking stats available, but they did have property theft and homicide data. Thank you.
Don't you have to think like Trump responds to the so-called body?
Yo, Rich, I'm not taking your call, dude.
National Guard say that the numbers are fake, but don't provide no other evidence that say they're fake. Like, I ain't saying you can't do that, but that just sounds very silly that a president would ignore the data that's given by the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, and the police department, and just deploy National Guard and just say it's fake without no evidence. You gotta do something. You can't just say it's fake. You can't just say that. You can't just say it.
I don't know. Are we saying fake or are we saying fudged? Because I think there's a difference between outright hyperbolic data and them edging it to make it look better or worse. I'm thinking of Mark Twain's "There are lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics," and how easily we can be influenced by numbers that are technically accurate but don't paint the whole picture.
It should be on Trump to paint the whole picture. Like, the numbers are the numbers. You should have to show the violent crime that requires the National Guard. Like, other than his word, I never see that. I didn't see people on social media talking to me. They saying it's not like that.
Was beaten up after trying to intervene after seeing a lady attacked by a group of teenagers, and he was severely wounded. And now I believe there's "get well soon, big ball" signs all over Washington, D.C., because that's where it happened. And I'm not surprised that Trump is protective over the Doge team.
It was over an attempted carjacking. The lady's car.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna offer a play trying to figure out. Hakeem, I hear you. Okay, Scarlett, I hear you too. And I began by saying I believe that there is a major, significant issue in all of our major metropolitan areas. And then I still believe that more action is needed to clean up DC. Okay? I am very hesitant. It's not bad enough that active duty troops need to be put on the streets. No question about that. And I challenge whether or not it's necessary to put the National Guard on the streets. But I do think that the competence of the entire legal system, the competence of that system needs drastic improvement. We should never have cops that let teenage gangs run rampant. They should not allow that to happen. And yet, it seems to me, from what I'm hearing, that is a huge issue. But when the cops take action to not allow them to run rampant, then they have to be backed up by a strong prosecuting office to find a way to prosecute teenage gangs running rampant. And then we have to have judges that don't allow them back on the streets to run rampant again until sufficient rehabilitation and corrective action has been taken. So I think that whole circle of law enforcement in D.C. and the courts and prosecution for 10 years in prison for jaywalking. No, that's not exactly anything. The new judge, I've forgotten her name, the new judge was talking about that, how they need to strengthen the system and by the judges so that this laxness, this malaise, this smog of crime and unsafety, and I'll include the homeless population, though. I am absolutely, when Trump says we're going to clean them out, we're going to clean out all the homeless. Where are you going to put them, Mr. President? I have no idea. So I'm hesitant to endorse the National Guard being out there, and I would be watching them carefully. And the National Guard certainly does not have, I don't think they have arrest powers. All they are there to do is to back up the local police to make sure the local police are not overwhelmed by some gang or something of that sort. So I'm willing to tolerate that for a while until I see examples of jackboot thugs, a stormtrooper like National Guard. And I don't think we saw that in LA. I don't think we've seen that at all of the National Guard. I'm not going to get into ICE agents, but in terms of the National Guard in LA, I have not heard a squeak about the National Guard causing, acting like stormtroopers. I think they've been pretty successful in backing up the cops, and we haven't seen more problems in LA than we've seen already. I'll leave it at that for the time being. I will be interested in feedback on that observation.
To your point, Hanson, the district attorneys, they don't support the cops who do arrest, criminal people. Like, they just catch and release sort of issue, and there's no prosecution that occurs.
I just want to say, hi guys, first, in New York, I mean, routinely in the papers, a person getting arrested, and he has 20 plus violent crimes, that he was arrested for in the past. So this is a major problem in sanctuary cities. In the other room, they were discussing this too. They started off is Trump sending the National Guard to D.C. because he's afraid of Epstein, of the Epstein files. So I quickly searched for a room. Good old Mojo Raja has normal concepts of how to arrange a room. That's ridiculous, the Epstein concept, and I'm glad I'm here. Anson, I agree with you once again. Prosecution.
Again, it's cops, prosecutors, and judges. Local residents have to say about this. I mean, I haven't watched any live news all day. Probably won't be able to until later this evening. So I'm curious to know what the local residents have to say, considering that some reports are, as we've stated here in another room, that the crime is not as bad as this administration would have us believe. The crime rates have dropped over the past year. So what locals feel compared to what local politicians feel, what their reaction to Trump's military deployment. But another thing is this, no matter how we feel about President Trump, him using using the federal government to take charge, maybe he feels like this situation is out of control, and this is the answer to it. And me not living there or having visited the city, D.C., I don't know, right? All I can do is just support our president. If our president feels like the crime in D.C. is out of control, and the National Guard has to handle it because the local police they're not equipped to carry this task out properly, then I suppose I support Trump on that.
Has anybody been to DC lately? I'm not aware of, do they have like the San Francisco issue of like human poop on the sidewalk? The crime statistics aren't necessarily the most compelling thing to me, but in my lived experience, when I was in San Francisco last, there was human poop right outside the hotel room that I was staying at, and I think there's definitely a problem with crime, with homelessness, and I think we should want our big, great cities to be beautiful and prosperous and safe. And again, I don't know if this is the right step, but does anybody disagree that we should have beautiful, prosperous, clean, safe cities?
I think the poo map that you can check online was perfectly terrible, meaning that it exposed a problem in a comical way, and I believe it's still active. And when you click on it, the demographic is brown, so visual. So yeah, I think we should have clean streets, and I think Washington, if we have to pick one area of our country to be the safest, I'm going to pick Washington, D.C. over any other city because the tourism, the people that go there from across the country and across the world, it's vital that our jewel of the shining city on the hill is appropriately clean and washed.
To the drug addicts.
By the way, is this an illegal?
Perspective as somebody who's worked in the media for a long time, I get these tips from my colleagues in legacy media. They work with mainstream outlets, AP, NBC, terroristic threats that the media might report on, and the masterminds behind them are actually not the masterminds behind them, that they tell the public one thing and, and they blame it on, they cite national security as the reason for the lies and the propaganda. So it's 100% possible that Trump has information we may never have, or if we do get it, it will be some whitewashed version of what's really actually happening behind the scenes.
Hey, this is John, and I'm on the DC.gov website looking at the 2025 year-to-date crime comparison. And, there's in 2024, it says that there were 2,100 violent crimes total, and in 2025, 1,500, down 26%. Only 112 people got murdered there last year, and 100 this year. 110 sex abuse cases, only half this year, I guess because the Democrats are gone. And assault with a dangerous weapon last year was 667, down to 534 this year. And robbery last year was 1,300. This year, it's 900. So 900 robberies this year alone. And if you've ever been to DC, that's a lot of robberies. Why is any of this even tolerated, or why is all of this happening in every major city? Because if we were to really look at every major city's total crime stats and contemplate that, you'd shit your pants. You'd be like, I can't believe this is happening nonstop in every major U.S. city. Why is society and why is reality like that throughout the whole country?
Well, in Illinois, there's Congressman, Illinois state congressman, tabling tabling a act or resolution that attacking police is not a crime. So you can imagine. No respect for the law. Hence why there's more criminals. No one respects the law, and the law is not respected in any format or any way. So people do what they want to do, how they want it. So what's the law going to do? What is the law? The law is the people of the country. You are the law. Each and every single one is individual.
It's a symptom of a low trust society instead of a high trust.
Put the spotlight in the darkest corners of the town. And and again, don't give notice to space. At the end of the day, the world love your country, and you want peace, and you want to keep the peace, and you want to maintain that peace. And so it's logical to just do what's right, and what's right is upholding the law. It doesn't matter where you're from, or what country you're from, or what background. It doesn't cost nothing to respect and appreciate, freedom or whatever you've been given to me. I think people forgot that best things in life are simple, and everybody's far away from the simplicity. But not enough people doing. Everybody's scared. There's a lot more people being criminalized. Time to live in this bed. Everybody's hiding in more things, so it's more of a reason to get in there and to be aware of everything, and then having the same mindset and awareness and education.
Victoria, what are your thoughts on this? Oh, hold on a second. Moose, I think you're in the matrix. No, that's still in the matrix. Are we getting hit with the matrix? I know Moose got hit with it. Victoria, are you here? Victoria, are you with us? Can you hear my voice? Is my voice traveling? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, Victoria's not here. I wanted to get her thoughts because it's interesting. But if anybody else
with her level of expertise, she'd be invaluable to this conversation. So I hope she chimes in too.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And just for the fellow mods, Anson and Moose, Victoria has shared with us on multiple occasions. She has been to the Situation Room to brief presidents On what matter, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that something like this, perhaps she would have the type of insights that the rest of us don't. So I'd really like to hear from Victoria when she gets a chance.
She's been on mic for a while. Oh, maybe she's back. Victoria, are you there?
It's year over year. It's not a comparison.
A police officer, a law, a crime. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, that's right.
And this is a new law, you said?
It's being tabled by a congressman.
So it's tabled, which means it's not passed yet.
It's not passed yet.
Oh, okay, because what you spoke earlier was that it was passed, which is very misleading.
Yeah, not yet. I pray that if lawyers have some senses, still have some senses remaining in their heads.
Any idea what the grounds of that would be? Because if you look at any individual on the street, that's assault in pretty much every state, let alone an officer.
You can ask that guy.
That guy?
Obviously, I think yes.
What guy?
The congressman who tabled that. Act or suggestion.
Tabled means to put it aside.
Put it.
Proposed.
Correct.
Proposed.
Correct.
Okay.
Table.
Yeah, that's why I was just asking for clarification.
It's not proposing.
Yeah, because that even seems kind of wild for a democratic state. I mean, like I don't even see how anyone on the left would get behind that.
I'm going to ask a little bit more detailed question. Is it okay to spit in the face of a cop that is trying to enforce the law? And the second question, is that illegal or is it legal?
Actually, just quickly. Yes, you're right. The table proposal means postponing. Yeah, no, that's not what I meant. Thank you for questioning that. Actually proposing the proposal that the assaulting a police officer would not be a crime.
Maybe it has to do something with like the hierarchies of power. The police have power over the individual who isn't a police officer, and they're thinking, oh, well, that can't be assault.
I'm wondering if you mean it's the difference between a felony and a misdemeanor.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't be a misdemeanor. Are we talking about spitting or attacking an officer? They're two very different things.
That would never pass. I don't even think it's worth talking about.
That's the crazy thing. I never even. Let's not even give that idea any more oxygen. Victoria, I see that you're in chat. Are you back and able? Are you in a space where you're able to talk? Roger was asking for his opinion earlier.
Wait, Moose, you think attacking a police officer, a physical assault versus spitting are not the same thing? You think spitting should be regulated?
I didn't say it should be deregulated. I said it's very. I don't know anyone who's gone to the hospital for being spit on.
Right now, I think it is in a lot of cases to a police officer, an official to spit in their face. It can be straight up charged as a felony instead of just a misdemeanor civil disturbance. So I think that's the difference. That whoever's talking about a law right now, I think that's what they're trying to change. So it's a lesser penalty than actually being a felony.
Why should going to the hospital be a factor? I mean, you could slap someone in the face. It's not going to go to a hospital. We should have respect for our police.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
typical spitting with rape versus physical assault. I agree. I am very much against any interference here. You can say whatever you want, although I think it's odd that some of you take issue with someone telling an officer to F off.
Boulders and stones at the ICE agents in LA when they were protesting about a month ago over the ICE raid. So can you imagine if we said, oh, it's just a slap on the wrist? You should be charged with the fullest extent of the law. Go to jail for the weekend, for all I'm concerned. No, we shouldn't ease up on people who want to spit on law enforcement. Sorry, guys.
Akima, do you have a response to that? I'm really interested.
To what y'all just got to talking about?
Yeah. Do you think spitting on a cop is a violation of the law and action should be taken legally if someone does that? Spitting on a cop.
I think that's pretty common sense. I don't think nobody disagrees with that. Of course, that should be a crime.
Great. Good. I mean, that's because I'm sure that there's somebody that feels, at least some people at least feel, that that's perfectly all right because the cops are doing absolutely outrageous things. Even though they're doing it in accordance with the law, they're doing outrageous things, and therefore spitting on them is a form of protest that should be acceptable. I don't agree with that, but I'm sure there's some that feel that way.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hanson. And actually, I like to call out when I'm wrong. I stand corrected, as Jarl put in the chat. I forgot that is true. Somebody carrying any sort of transcommunicable disease and spit in your eye, in your mouth, could actually end up being lethal. That was a bad comparison. But regardless, I still say spit on the sidewalk. If you really feel the urge, I don't know, maybe spit on their car tires, but do not spit on another cop or another human being. Unless, maybe you're playing baseball and chewing tobacco in the dugout.
Let me ask a question. How are the police reacting? I haven't read anything about that. In a real good world, the police would work together with the National Guard. So how are the police reacting to the National Guard?
That's an excellent question, Jules. It's like, what message does that send? It's like, move over, boys, ladies and gentlemen in uniform. The president has clearly said you're inept. So instead of trying to work together, we're just going to kind of push you to the side, even though we are not authorized to make any arrest, even though we know nothing about interrogation, even though we know nothing about constitutional rights when it comes to making said arrest, probable cause, all that good stuff. But let's get the National Guard out there. So I'm curious, are there folks that are, I think, Nye, you might be the only one who said, okay, well, maybe if the president knows stuff that we don't know, then yeah, by all means, let's get the National Guard out. So I don't know if you want to, I don't mean to put you on the spot, anybody can answer this who's really pro-National Guard to the title of the poll. What does that look like, let's say if DC was your city? Like, how do you imagine the National Guard making a difference?
Moose, let me explain a large city that's near me, Seattle, where the anarchists had taken over several city blocks, and the police chief and the mayor basically defanged the police officers to be able to do their job, and they didn't have the back of the officers on the street. So I don't know what the sentiment is for the officers that are in DC, but I can tell you that the sentiment of the officers that were in Seattle was one that they felt that they were let down, and there was a mass exodus of police officers that either left law enforcement altogether or immediately were looking to work in a city where the mayor, the city council, and the chief of police would allow them to do their job. And so, again, I don't know how DC is ran or what the perception is among the force. I don't know what the perception is among the people in DC about this, but I can tell you specifically, even in left-leaning Seattle, during the whole Chaz Chop thing, there was a great many people that would have welcomed some assistance, somebody to have the gumption to come in and enforce the law. In fact, many of the police themselves would have welcomed it. And now you have a problem where Seattle can't hire police because nobody wants to work in Seattle as a police officer, knowing that you don't have the support to do your job. So I think that's something that we should consider.
I also would end, I want to go back to what Moose said, which was, again, strongly questioning the need for the National Guard, or should the Guard come in. Is there any evidence of the National Guard doing untoward things in California? The National that's a current example as they go about their legal duties. Any evidence that the National Guard has gone beyond that and have become stormtroopers or whatever?
I don't know if that question was directed to anybody specific, but I haven't read any stories about the National Guard ever turning into rogue stormtroopers.
And I wonder if anybody knows what instructions the National Guard are getting. You know, they're just not going in blind. They have to have instructions on what they can do, what they can't do, what their role is, what their role isn't. I mean, it just can't. That's why I checked off I don't know in Mojo's question. I'm not sure, because there's a lot that goes into play. You just don't bring them in, say kill, shoot to kill. You know, there's got to be some working together, and kind of cooperation with the local police.
Well, I would offer the suggestion that if the National Guard, and for lack of a better word, I will call it stormtrooper tactics, if there was a hint of the National Guard having done that in California and Los Angeles in particular, I am sure it would have been headline news. If they caught one guy on video, beating somebody up with a baton or punching him in the face with the butt of his rifle or something like that, I'm sure it would have been headline news. So the absence of any significant reporting on misuse of the National Guard, other than the fact that they're there and they're backing up the police, I'm sure we would have heard about it. But again, if anybody's got evidence that the National Guard has done anything other than be a force behind the police to guard against attacks against the police while they're executing their lawful duties, I sure would like to hear about it. And in not hearing about it, that would lend my support as evidence that the National Guard has gotten the right briefings and they are doing the right thing out there. It's been 35 years, a little longer than that. But, when I graduated from college, within 2 years, I was a shore patrol officer walking around I was just a straight line officer, no particular training or anything, but I knew how to be a shore patrol officer with
people police complaints
billy bats, and I'm walking around with a 45 pistol. And I felt comfortable in that kind of role. I knew how to act. I never had to, obviously, never had to do anything seriously. But again, I'm sure that the Guard is carefully briefed on the do's and don'ts.
Why do people police complaints about referencing a complaint about Americans?
The Guard, the Uniform Code of Military
Why do
Justice.
people police complaints about referencing a complaint about Americans describing Americans?
Anson, let's say you're right, and they're acting appropriately. Wouldn't it be nice to see local police make reference to that? Do you think the local police, are held back from saying something nice about the National Guard, who might be saving their lives?
And there's only one isolated incident that, so it might happen. And then we handle it appropriately, receive appropriate consequences. Thank you.
Well, I was just going to say, Ensign, to your point, because I can't even think of examples when they were sending backup police maybe the Watts riots. I mean, I think the last time a president called in the National Guard, with the exception of earlier this year, Trump calling him into California, the last time a president ordered the National Guard without the governor calling them in was, I believe, Johnson, to escort black children safely into schools that the then, I think, outspoken anti-segregationist, was it Wallace, I believe, governor of Alabama at that point?
That was Eisenhower that called him after that.
Eisenhower, thank you. To protect those young lives. So, this is an anomaly. This is a unicorn. I really, if anyone else can dig deep way past Chat GPT and see when National Guard has been called in to complement and augment local law enforcement.
January 6th.
Yeah, well, I think that was worthy.
Hold up. But without you asked without the governor, so they don't have a governor in D.C.
Right, sorry. Well, so that's the spring, but that's the same unique unicorn that I'm talking about because they don't have. Correct. But I guess the other question is, I don't even know if we brought this up. So what does that mean to deploy them? And now he's talking about, if you've seen headlines, he's talking about sending them into Chicago. I'm not going to deny Chicago has the highest, I think, body count homicide rate annually than any other city in the country. Okay, well, it may not be the worst, but it's bad. It's bad. It came up.
And it's down year over year.
Is the city the worst? It's top 5. My point is.
We're talking per capita absolute numbers.
Yeah. Anyway, if I could get the point out, if the president continues to send in National Guard, and to your point, Roger, to be protected.
Moose, hasn't their morale been already defeated by local judges and that let people, the revolving door of crime? That's what's doing the trick. That's why I want to know. I'd like to know if they welcome the national.
This internet
That's where I'm stuck in limbo here. I don't know if they welcome them or resent them. Well, back to Moose's original point, very few times has the president sent in the National Guard, and I'll agree with that. But there are numerous times where the National Guard has been called out, and I mean numerous, over the course of history. So I think to determine whether the National Guard has acted like stormtroopers, whether the governor calls them out or the president calls them out, take the whole picture. Whenever the National Guard has been called out, is there strong evidence to indicate the National Guard have become stormtroopers to trot on civil rights or just back up the police? That would be my counter to it's just looking at the microcosm of where the president's called them out. Let's look at all the times that they've been called out and see what the statistics would be.
As far as this term stormtroopers, which we know what that relates to historically, I haven't heard anybody complain about treatment from National Guard. I have heard people complain about treatment from ICE, right? So if there's any force of the law at the moment on a federal basis has at least the impression, if not the reality, of abuse, it would be coming from, or you leave out the word abuse, but illegal actions could potentially be coming from ICE, not from the National Guard. With the National Guard being deployed in a city, is the president saying, I have more power than you? This was what was said about Kennedy when he sent in the National Guard in 1964. That was the first time that ever happened. That wasn't asked for by the governor. And if you leave out January 6th for the moment, that's the only other time that's ever happened before Trump sent in the National Guard to Los Angeles. And this is a factual statement, whether anybody likes it or not. during the time that they were in LA, they were not working on fire prevention and they were literally working on putting out fires when they got diverted to Los Angeles. It's about fear from my perspective, Mojo, and diversion tactics. It's red meat. I'm going to take over the city. I'm the president. I can do that. And he can, actually, until statehood passes, which at some point in the future, you all know that, sometime in the future, the left is going to control the power, and that's probably what they'll do, is they'll make D.C. into a state. They only need to pass a law. It's not a constitutional amendment or anything.
Sorry.
Hold on, dear. I don't want to step over your beautiful voice, but I just wanted to say that when it comes to DC, I think fighting for statehood is the wrong thing to fight for. I think what they should be fighting for is the idea that they don't have representation, and they should, if you live in DC, you should be exempt, in my opinion, from paying federal tax. That would be my take. But I think something that, because what we're not talking about is what was the headlines prior to this happening. All of a sudden, nobody's talking about Epstein, and everybody's talking about the National Guard. I don't want to change the subject, but what I am going to say is that the timing is very convenient.
Totally. Agreed. Hard to ignore.
Is the reason why we don't describe things that make the left active as red meat for the masses because most of them are vegans?
Say what?
Jay, is that Monica?
Of course it's Monica, yeah. I don't know where you got that they're mostly vegans. That's pretty funny.
That was what we like to call humor. For those of you that got it, it landed. For those of you that don't have a sense of humor, it probably didn't land. But thank you, Monica. I thought it was great. Victoria, we were asking you earlier with your unique experience, did you want to talk about your thoughts on what's happening in DC?
No, I think it's already been discussed to death, honestly. So,
okay, so you have no additional expertise.
I would say, just as a woman who lived there, I felt like it was challenging sometimes. It did feel somewhat dangerous, I would say. And every single day, on the news cycle for DC, you would hear about another person who had been violently attacked or something else. So definitely not not to say that, not to make it sound bad, but it was pretty challenging, I would say.
Can I just ask, if you were to have had an opportunity to brief the president, in the Situation Room or anywhere else, would you have told him, National Guard, bad idea?
This president doesn't get briefed. My dear friend, no, he doesn't. He doesn't listen to anyone or experts.
Or to whoever he spoke to last, Victoria. It's one of the two, right?
Sorry, I wish that you would actually have a better or broader perspective, but you don't. So, fortunate.
You're talking to me saying I don't have a broader perspective, is that what you just said?
Yep.
that Daniel may have one. I think he has one of the more broader perspectives in this room.
Just want to point people to the poll up above, which is very tight. It's almost equal thirds in true in true Clubhouse fashion. We have it's at 100%. It was at 102% earlier. So prayerfully, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to do something that's really, really annoying. I was really looking forward to this room, and I had child drama, so I didn't get to hear a lot of it. But I was curious, did anybody happen to say anything about the Posse Comitatus Act as far as, like, I know Newsom tried to use that against Trump when he sent National Guard and forces into LA, and it didn't work because he was able to use it under the Immigration Enforcement Clause. But I'm just wondering, like, his repealing that Article 740 or whatever it was that he did in order to do this in DC, I read that he can only do that for 48 hours without congressional approval. And then with congressional approval, it can only be for up to 30 days. Have you guys talked about that?
Serendipity, as I understand it, Posse Comitatus only applies to active duty military forces. And so there has not been an accusation of violation. Well, there's an accusations of violation of Posse Comitatus, but I'm pretty sure it only applies to active duty troops, not the National Guard.
Well, you're true in most cases with the National Guard unless he federalized it. And my understanding was that he did.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is it Congress or the Speaker or the Chair that has to? Okay.
What I read was Congress, but it was like a really brief article on it, so what that entails, but it said Congress.
So just to clarify, Rod, do you think that it should have representation but not statehood, right? If I heard you right, what does that mean?
They should not have to pay federal tax because they don't have representation. I think fighting for statehood would be a silly choice when they can make a very logical argument. I think they would win legally if they really push the envelope.
On the tax thing, like basically, since we're not a state, you can't tax us.
Yeah.
So
They don't have representation. So why would they pay federal?
So if it came down to a choice for most people, you can either have representation or no tax. Sure, some people would choose the no tax, and some. It's just really a question of what.
I think it'd be a kind of IQ test. Do you want corrupt politicians to represent you, or would you like to not pay federal tax? Because it's an IQ test at that point.
They don't pay tax because they're not a state. So that's that. And their representative, they vote. So that's right.
I'm just saying, they would end up with 2 more senators, most likely going to be on the left as well.
Without doubt.
To try to ram their weird wokey agenda through. That being said, the people of DC, why would you want more corrupt politicians when you can have no taxes?
So that's basically saying no government is better than even some government, according to you. Because I heard you say the other day that some regulation is okay, just like as little as possible, but some is not zero, right? You're going to say people are better off with no representation just because they're politicians.
They don't have representation now, Daniel, but we're drifting off topic. I'll tell you what, the after party in the muff, you could please bring this conversation to me, because I'd love to go deep and wide into this thing and call out the little magic trick that you're trying to play right now, where you're suggesting that somehow if you gave people tax relief in DC, that means that there's no government. I mean, come on, grow up.
No, I offered it as a choice, and you said if they get a choice, they're just going to choose. If they don't have the right IQ, they're just going to choose the no tax thing. I'm just simply saying that.
Well, listen. If you if you have a
Like you
choice,
said, Roger, we're getting off topic. But go ahead.
yeah, we should get back on topic.
Just about DC.
In order to, in an effort to get back on topic, I would really like somebody in the 37%, somebody in the 32% that says no, they should not. Explain why specifically you voted that way, that they should not have deployed the National Guard. Would somebody give me an extra, maybe you, Moose?
Go ahead. Well, I shared mine earlier. I don't want to repeat, but I welcome anyone else who hasn't had a chance. And again, as mentioned earlier, there were examples of police departments that took this not as a, oh, thank you, so glad you're here, quite the opposite, to, wait a minute, why did I go to the police academy? Why do I risk my life out here every day? Just so...
National Guard, and I've seen interviews with National Guard soldiers who were deployed in California, and they said this was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I've had so much fun. So when Moose says that police officers are going to be upset that National Guardsmen are helping keep the streets safe from rampant gun crime, I mean, believe me, cops want the backup. But that's because that's the perspective you have.
Okay, so that's John and Scott explaining why they got their own opposite sides.
It needs to be solved in the first place. You don't have a crime problem in DC in the first place. Doesn't warrant it. And second, what Moose is saying, what Moose is saying is precedent is something in law and in norms and governance and everything else, right? Whenever somebody's done for the first time, it's decision authority over the actions of cities using these federal forces. I don't think that's a good precedent you'd want a left-wing president to practice on.
I would suggest that the precedent has already been first established in California of late, but I understand what you're saying, Daniel, and thanks for the input.
I mean, are you...
Anybody else?
Are we ready for closing comments?
Minutes. Two T's, do you want to give your closing thoughts? Because I would not only love to hear the thoughts, but I would love to hear the voice.
The world, which is Washington, D.C. There were 3 options. The second one included rats in the street, accustomed to well-trained riot police. Let's see. So I think that's kind of where I am. I don't like the idea of women being assaulted. I don't like the idea of people's property being taken. And if extra security, see, that goes where we're denying liberty, push me over, and I could break a hip and die. So I think that's kind of where I am. I think it's a good idea if executed well, and I will be paying attention to make sure it is. Thank you.
Is it outrageous? Are we doing final closing comments? Paid when they go on this deployment. Otherwise, they're on a monthly salary. Paid when they go on this deployment. Otherwise, they're on a monthly salary and their 2-week, annual training. So deploy them with police. Enhance security, increase our security. We're already paying for it. You might as well get some service for your tax dollar. I'm complete.
If we're enhancing security, to your point, John, if the point of the National Guard is not to detain, apprehend, and arrest, which of course they have absolutely no constitutional power to do, so it would be good that they don't do that. How many officers have we read about in D.C. That have been attacked? My understanding is that it's citizens that are a threat, not the police. So please enlighten. John, you're muted if you're talking.
Sorry. When I was a National Guardsman, Chicago had plenty of rampant crime, but the police were allowed to do their jobs. Now we have a radical Marxist, communist, socialist, terrorist teachers union history professor as our mayor.
Stay on point. We're talking about D.C. Go ahead. Let's talk about D.C. Thank you.
Well, not having lived there, I've been to D.C. and I thoroughly enjoyed my experience while I was doing contract training on behalf of the government. And guess who? Contract training class in DC, a bunch of Palestinians working for USAID learning how to scam us out of billions of dollars in contracts. So again, the problem is not the president. The problem is not the National Guard.
Else here who is pro National Guard that could explain to me how they're going to enhance and protect police that are not at risk of being threatened? Again, if sure, clearly they can have a presence to discourage like rioting, right? It proves otherwise. I am all ears. I'm a sponge for data. But I haven't seen any reports that indicate that.
I just got to the room, but I lived in D.C. for 5 years. I worked for the NSA Comm Center, and we leaned on National Guard big time for protection. Don't y'all want your capital of your country protected? Come on.
You can overprotect something and harm people in the process too, Joe. And like, I get the truth of, whatever you feel comfortable in, and you having lived there, you have your own lived experience, that's true. But the numbers that he's talking about really do matter. And there is less crime now than there was in the past. That is a fact of numbers. And so if you really had a crime problem, why is it going down when you're putting more resources there? Which, two things, what Moose is pointing out. Number one, it's using resources, taxpayer resources. And number two, it's friggin' breaking the law as well.
Is not quite as clear-cut as you make it sound. When it comes to police reporting, there's different methodologies. In fact, he completely switched their methodology in 2019. So when you have crime that goes up and goes down, there's different reasons of why you would want it to go up or go down when it comes to the reporting of it. And the reporting is not a direct correlation with the crime itself. And so you can have situations where crime is on the rise and the reporting says it's on the decline. You could also have it vice versa. Now, I don't have enough information. It's a fact that the crime has gone up, and you're pointing the statistics.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's all I'm pushing back on. And we agree. Can we all agree that there is a problem? Because if we can agree there's a problem, then we can debate what the solution is. And I would say that the problem statement that I would agree on is that U.S. cities in general, not just D.C., have a crime problem, have a drug problem, have a homeless problem, and I think we have a duty to make wise decisions to try to reduce those things. We want safe cities. We want prosperous cities. We want cities where women can feel safe to walk down the street. And when I'm visiting San Francisco, an area that I spent 40 years of my life in, I shouldn't have to stumble outside of the hotel room and nearly step in human shit. And if you don't believe that, I can PTR the photograph. That's all I'm saying. You certainly can, but for housekeeping, just so everybody knows, we are going to end this room in 10 minutes. And there will be an app take the poll down, and I'm going to replace it with a room that we can go and kind of have a more casual conversation about this and other things. But go ahead, Joe B. We've got 9 minutes.
I never take that much time. We voted for less government, but today we need more government to protect us, to gather intelligence, to be prepared for war. Like it or lump it, we're headed that way. And I would welcome anyone to debate that with data.
I love that you still use the like it or lump it, very old school. But what we also need is a president who can. It's really hard not to say that out loud. I'm tired of being polite. Sorry, Jules. I think I'm still talking. Hey, Jules. I'm going to ignore that.
Yeah, hold on real quick. Let's show respect to the mods. The one thing that we want to do is create a space where we can talk about these issues, have an open chat where people can put their opinions. And the moderators have been selected by me to make sure that we have people that represent a more broad.
Ignore when people try to play down Trump's racism. What more does he need to do aside from maybe go back to segregation?
But I can certainly understand. I really like the poll, and it shows balance in the room. If it starts looking like stormtroopers, then get their ass out of there in a flash and never allow it to happen again. But I also want to disagree with Dan basically, I think, Daniel, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to diminish your, well, I hope I don't misrepresent, but you basically said there's not a problem, therefore they shouldn't have been sent in. And I disagree with that in accordance with my opening remarks. I think it is a national problem. The smog, as I called it, across our, at least our major metropolitan areas. And yes, I agree, the smog is thicker in sanctuary cities because they perpetuate diminishment of respect for the law. But still, there's a smog across our major metropolitan areas. Something that should be done to clean them up, to make them cleaner, to make them safer, to deal with the homeless problem. All of the things that the graffiti and everything else. And I believe we still have a.
Anybody have any final thoughts? I am going to post a link to a room that's going to start here in a few minutes. But any other final thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, I'll give a quick final.
Yeah, if I may, after Julius, if I may.
Okay, just a quick final thought. Russian spies, and I don't have to go into it anymore. I mean, that kind of diminishes the room and diminishes a good discussion. Moose, you're not a dumb guy. I don't mean to say that. So it just diminishes a good discussion on what's going on. And when I hear cheap shots from President Trump, it just gets me.
Well, Devin, you need to know that wasn't what the room was about. And maybe John Kitover can share the stream with you, and I would hope you would reconsider and listen to it, because Anson and Mojo did an excellent job steel manning people's arguments for the most part and making cogent arguments from the rest of the stage. So I think you'd be surprised.
No, I answer to Mojo agree, no question about it. But like I said, it gets into a dark space. Look, sometimes I even bring up Trump in a certain way that gets them going. But you're right.
If I may, really quick, I think I can make it quick. The problem is just DC. It's happening in all our major cities. First and foremost, we're dealing with technological unemployment. People are losing their jobs, and it's trickling down to the individuals that don't know what the heck to do with themselves in their life. They don't know how to do it. So, and nobody's really coming up with a solution. And I contend, maybe in the next room, that there is a solution that that could not only help with the homeless situation, with creating new jobs, but the global situation. So it's a real problem, and I no doubt understand why it's happening in DC first, why they're handling it there, but it's happening everywhere, and it's going to get worse if we don't solve the problem. The real problem of homelessness is growing, and there's a reason why that is, because people don't know what to do anymore. They don't, especially the older people, don't have the finances that they thought they'd have. Just a thought.
All right. Well, hey, this is the second room that we've done. We're going to do these daily, 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. We will have daily topics. We would invite people from all different political opinions to come and talk, share your thoughts, push back on other ideas. We want to have a conversation. We're going to keep the conversation going in another room. I'm going to go back over in the muff. If those of you like being in the muff, you're welcome to join. If you're not a fan of being in the muff, you don't have to join. The muff is a voluntary thing. If you're in the muff involuntarily, rape. So thank you. We will go ahead and see you guys later in the muff.
Thanks very much, Jim. Good working with you guys.
Again, good job, Darren.
Let's see. Okay. All right. This will be a more casual room for those that like more casual conversation. The rules do apply. If you don't know the rules for being in the muff, just click on the link above. The little carrot that takes you to the rules. Maybe I'll read them to you. I've gotten feedback that you guys like when I read the rules, so I'll go ahead and read the rules. The rules are, number 1, no threats of violence. Number 2, no doxing. Number 3, stay on topic. Number 4, keep your shares brief. Number 5, do not interrupt speakers, especially mods. Number 6, mods may interject when appropriate. Number 7, the N and K words are forbidden on stage and in chat. Number 8, don't spam the chat. Number 9, do not bring drama here from other rooms. And number 10, English only, please. Those are the rules. Talks amongst yourself. We don't really have a topic yet. This is the Situation Room. Hopefully we'll get special guests that know more about the Situation Room than we.
Hello?
Okay. Is anybody...
What the fuck is this?
Is anybody...
What the fuck is this?
Open and people are free to communicate. I think that's the way this app was designed. So thanks for participating. It was a glorious time. Anonymous, go ahead and jump in.
Hey, this is Anonymous, and I'm happy to be here in the Situation Room in the muff. And it's a profane word. You can't say the muff. Who would have known? But I feel like there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. And everybody needs to get a little bit of sun in this room, some vitamin D, some exercise, some hydration, some delicious Summerfest food. Crime is rampant. Wait, please, Jane, don't unmute. I'm not finished with my thoughts. I understand, but I'm not finished with my thoughts.
No back and forth.
Well, Jane, go ahead. You know what? You got this, Jane. I mean, I hear him use profanity, but what's your complaint? Yeah, what's your complaint about Zach Ruda? Oh wait, is that a dox? I'm sorry. Situation Room. We need a clarification on the rules.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, drama.
Hold on. Rule number 9. We don't bring in drama from other rooms. I don't know what Zach Ruda has done this time, but I can tell you he's an acquired taste, a taste I've never acquired. So it is what it is. Let's just move on.
Okay, I just was going to ask that, so I'm in sync with you, Mojo. Thank you for letting me know. John, where you stand. Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye, Jane. So, this is my new account. It's called Anonymous Recording because or the center or the source of wisdom. So I think, Mojo's a very creative person, and I think,
I will say, it was Clubhouse that twisted my arm on this. As you know, I used to find it annoying when I would open a room and there was the option of replay or no replay. And the consensus amongst the people that would come to these rooms was that the preference was no replay. And if we're going to turn the replays off, somebody coming in and streaming it was a bad idea. But that's all in the past. The app creators decided for a low cost of $5 a month, you can go in anonymous mode, and then you take the control out of the creator of the room's hands, and you allow them to do whatever they want with the content. And so because of that, it changed my mind completely. Not to mention, once it did change my mind, because sometimes you just have to accept the world the way it is. And once I accepted that, I started looking at this content that I now have to accept and embrace. And I looked at it and I thought, you know what? The streaming of Amir's room, where there's a collection of terrorist sympathizers, some of them perhaps terrorists themselves, is now being streamed, and you could take those links and you could share that with the FBI and the CIA and any other agency. I think the service that's getting provided here, it was something that I overlooked. I thought my own personal preference and people's preference to have a room that's not recorded was my virtue, that was my superiority complex. But now I'm embracing this idea that if you're going to say these things, they can get recorded, they can get streamed, and they can find their hands in the authorities. So if you're a terrorist piece of shit, you should be careful in this app. And if you're not, John Kitover is here to expose you.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I don't know if that violates any of the room rules because, I am putting myself at risk that, some Islamic jihadist terrorist who hates me for recording what they're saying on this app could become a problem for me. But, the bigger problem is really 37 trillion in funded liabilities and 100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. I think that poses a bigger threat to my personal livelihood than some fat loser in California or Detroit, who runs their little takfir room, So I'm just saying, in the Situation Room, my peace, my serenity, my breath, my force of life is here with you all right now.
Oh yeah. I would just say, you are facing potential lawsuits, sir. Yeah. Okay. Kitty on the stage.
What law do you think is being broken to take content that Clubhouse records that we freely engage in this conversation if we didn't want to have the conversation?
It's literally you don't read the terms and conditions, obviously.
No, I have read the terms and conditions, and I'm wondering what you think about terms and conditions that violates the law.
So if you aren't in a room that has replays, like mentioned, you're already violating the terms and conditions.
It actually depends on what state you're in. There are in many states.
In Illinois, which is where he is running for office.
Dismal, hold on. Let me just get my thoughts out. I'll refer to you to rule number 5 with the House. If you don't know the rules, I can read them to you when I'm finished.
I don't know, and I'm not. You can see I have a pink ticket. I haven't joined your House, so I haven't read your rules.
We welcome pink tickets. You're in the muff. Pink is always welcome in the muff. I just want to make this point, though. If you live in a state where you have the permission to record
single party,
yeah, you can have single party permission. So there are some states where you do have to have permission of both people involved. That being said, I would say this is one of those things of I'd be curious to see how it would play out, even in a state where you need both parties' consent. Because I would argue that if you're participating in a conversation on a social audio app willfully, when there's a button that says leave quietly and people are telling you, hey, this is being streamed onto YouTube, if you continue to be in that room, I think you're going to have a really hard time when it comes to deposition that you've been harmed in some way.
It's also partially a public space also, so that's the other end of it.
Look, I wish the rules were the way they used to be. I wish I had more control. As libertarian as I am, when it comes to my own space, I want to have more control. If this were my living room, I would have rules about communication. If somebody were to just come in and say off-the-wall shit, I'd probably remove them from my home. I like to have that kind of control of a conversation. I'm just saying that Clubhouse made the change that shifted the balance of power, and it shifted my perspective on it. It also, before anyone that thinks that what John is doing is a bad thing, I would ask you, is there a value in him recording rooms with people that are supporting Islamic terrorist groups and broadcasting this information and saving this information? You gotta understand, there's not a single human being on this app that was trolled harder than I was by John. And so, me coming to this position and welcoming him into this room, it's because a lot has changed. The app has changed, and then that forced me to reconsider my position. And when I looked at it from a broader scope, I started to see some value in it.
That's a yeah, I don't know if I should out myself in this public way, but I'm something of a fan of John Kitover, despite our recording just today. And guess what? I didn't give a fuck. I said exactly what I wanted to say because,
updating the title to put rec on it, that people know that they might be recorded in here, even though they're always recorded, and their words may be used against them. Like, I agree with Jane. This is season 1, season 2 stuff. Now seems like the lady doth protest too much. But go ahead, Dismal.
Yeah, I will be the lady who doth protest too much. Maybe I'm actually the only lady still left here on this map.
You can make that assumption.
Pardon me, madam. I take great umbrage with that.
Well, it's not every day that I get.
Besides that statement, do you need a Kleenex? Are we good?
No, I don't, and I don't need any.
Good question. I mean, when you were in the White House briefing room.
And ask me a question. You're using a term that obviously is a language. Yeah, I do.
Dismal, can I ask you one? I'm sorry. Ask you another. Oh, did she leave?
Ask is ask, man.
I really didn't think she was gonna fall for that.
Clubhouse.
I really didn't think she was gonna fall for that. Where was she supposedly briefing the president? In the Situation Room, right?
In the Situation Room.
Yeah. So that maybe she's got great. Maybe she's a great art critic. And so I just wanted to get more of her critique. That was all I was gonna ask.
Well, just remember, for the stream, she virtue signaled that she was only the lady. Well said.
Well, thank you, Dismal. I'll accept your silence.
Sorry, there wasn't. I wouldn't actually dare to do that because I don't actually care.
Got it. Okay, you just like to bring it up. Never mind. Dismal.
I'm bringing it up as only something a potentiality that you should be considering.
Oh, so you want to be a campaign advisor? I understand, but I think you might have a dismal outlook. Why do you call your name here Dismal Outlook, but yet your handle is Sunscape? Explain that contradiction.
It was Sunny Outlook before.
So, can I ask you a question about words? Do you think they're like a...
Ask me a question.
Sorry. Thanks for correcting me. I meant to ask you a question. Do you think words are like a script? Because earlier we read the Tao Te Ching here in the Muff, and you can go in our replays in our profiles. Look at Mojo X, scroll down, and then you'll see book reading, Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. And I would really encourage everybody to listen to that, because that's what's called reading a book, as opposed to having never-ending heated conversations here on a social audio hypnosis app. I am complete. This is anonymous.
Oh, no, I've literally read that book and read different interpretations because, of course, for something that was written in a different language, there are different interpretations, right? So that's something that in my club, I actually read, and we read different interpretations of that book.
Dismal, would you like to share a link to your house so that people interested in book reading?
No, because I'm no longer active there, and I don't want to promote something I'm not going to. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Monica, is everyone calling you Scarlett now, or still Monica, or what is your?
I'm running a social experiment because I heard that using first names formally used on the app is doxing. So this is my second time running the experiment with mixed results. I'm observing that people do have a very difficult time once they know someone's name and know the person calling them and
Dismal, can you maybe tell us your top 3 moments in the White House? This is Anonymous speaking to Dismal. Dismal, can you maybe tell us your top 3 moments in the White House?
Sorry, I really don't wish to. Okay, that's okay.
Of course.
I mean, the vast majority would be in the basically EOB area, not the Situation Room or the Oval.
Oh, that's fair. I don't disapprove of your discretion. So the room with Anson, I thought went very well. Anson led this discussion, and Moose and Mojo were the co-hosts of the room. We started with base principles. Did we agree that crime in large cities and DC was something that needed attention? The majority of the room agreed, although we had some late arrivals that didn't hear that open premise and said later that no, it wasn't needed. That crime had been going down and was trending down, and it's not that big of a deal. And I would like the people who were there to help me, because
let me just jump in real quick. And thank you, Scarlett, 2 T's. Appreciate you. The house that she's referring to is the National Discussion Group. It's a house in which every day we meet at 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. We run for about an hour and a half. We like to get there early. We like to get there 10 minutes early. We open the room at 1:50, and we keep the room. We really get it started at around 2. We welcome diverse opinions. We feel like this is an alternative to other types of rooms that you may or may not be familiar with. We have no requirement to download Facebook and chat through Messenger. What we do is we just, no frills, we just utilize the tools that Clubhouse has given us, and we have a mature conversation led by Anson Burlingame.
Yeah, I'm not. I was with you in saying I like this protest house, but are you really going to do that, Mojo? Every day?
Well, consistency is important.
It is. You're right.
Consistency is important. And so, yeah, and I figure that, if some people are disciplined enough to get there at 1:55, if we get there at 1:50, we'll just be even more consistent. And so, and at least that's totally cool. We have full respect for all of the people on this entire app, because without you, we wouldn't be here. So we welcome everybody. You can join the house. It's the fastest growing house in all of Clubhouse. We've only done 2 rooms. We did one on Friday. We did one today, and there's over 600 members of the house. At this rate, if we grow at 300 people per week, we will overtake similar programmed rooms in no time. So it is the fastest growing thing. If you want to be on something that's on an uptick, please join the Rational Discussion Group. Thank you.
And the link is in the chat for anyone. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The link is in the chat. We try not to take down the polls too early. We only have 10 votes in this poll, and we do want to know the lady quotient of Clubhouse to see if we need to boost those numbers up or start a number of ladies.
Jane, can I ask you a question, Jane?
I'm directing this to all the mods, actually. Are you aware that Scott Jones, I don't want to out you, Scott, but I do want to hear your point of view. I don't think Scott likes Anson so much. And let's talk about that.
Well, I'm glad that we're welcoming Scott into this room. Scott and I have a long history on this app, and we've had many laughs. And Scott and I consider Scott a friend. So I'd love to hear his thoughts of Anson, who I think he reminds me of my grandfather. I like Anson quite a bit. But Scott, go ahead and give us your critique of Anson if you'd like. But can you please do it in the Donald Trump voice? We really appreciate that here.
I think Anson tries to do a Donald Trump. Okay, I think it's not very good. Okay, Anson, I think that's so great. Okay, I mean, look, I like my war heroes to be able to do a Donald Trump that's better. Okay, I like my veterans All right, kind of
Gary.
I will say that is a good impression of him while drinking Diet Coke.
Hold on. I got Jan. I got a question for you and Scott because I didn't listen to Gary Baumgartner's show. Yes, this is being recorded. I'm live streaming myself. So my question is, what were the hot takes? What were the positions? And then what's the contrarian position?
I'll be back. I gotta go.
Of Washington D.C. National Guard takeover, federal FBI takeover. Like, what were the opinions in Gary's room?
You were there when I spoke, and then I left.
No, I left. I don't want to listen to it. I came in here to have a conversation and other
Oh, okay. I went to the pool, so I didn't know. I don't know.
Okay,
There was one take I objected to. You could rewind, John.
Okay, what is it? What is it, Jan?
From the very beginning, when the guy named Brian Bashara, he loves it. He said the more the merrier, I think. As far as, so he was a yes. That's one thing. I don't think it's a hot take, but, otherwise I said I'm not in favor of it, no shock. And then I left, so I don't have any more to give you.
So in our room, we were split a third. You had a third that were in support, a third that were not in support, and a third that just said we don't know. And yeah, so it was noticing a similar ethos underlying the shows, underlying the share, Brian Bashara, and it sounded a lot like. I'm glad that creeped you out.
Everybody.
I mean, have you been to Jerusalem? Do you know what it's like to see young people with M16A4s strapped to their shoulders, walking all around, providing security for free to the people of that beautiful town? Why isn't that happening in Chicago? Why doesn't that happen? I've never seen that in Michigan. Have you ever been to Manhattan? You ever seen people walking around with M16A4s? No, you don't see that. I wonder why.
I have a question for our previous topic when everyone's ready.
Hi, Bima. Welcome to the Muff Podcast, Mojo Positive Vibration.
No.
Taking care of your grandmother, huh? Like a beautiful little granddaughter.
Maybe behind slowness and Roger's benevolence about the recording, and I'm trying to roll it around in my mind. And I understand we have anonymous, we have recordings, but using our voice for a long time. I was a little surprised. I enjoyed the book reading and what we did today and coming together as a group and just the vibe of the book and that feeling. And then at the end, Roger mentioned, we were live on YouTube reading that. And isn't it different? I mean, when Clubhouse... Thank you. When Clubhouse assimilates our words and our voices, I don't think my name is associated with that, right? It's used for training or randomness or however it's used. But my voice is pretty recognizable. And I wasn't aware that I should be. I guess I'm just so naive by now. I forget I'm being recorded all the time. It hit me just differently that something as innocent as our book reading was also streamed on YouTube. And I think my voice is used in a different way that way, not parsed out in different parts or used for training or used in a way that it's unrecognizable, but used without my consent in a way that I don't think is necessary. So can someone explain to me that it's just the same that we're being recorded by Clubhouse and also now being streamed, that is identical?
Yes, because if you down at the bottom of your stage, you have a little icon with an arrow that points up to it. And when you click on that icon, you will notice that in the list there is a share via X, Facebook, messages, and other options there. By virtue of agreeing to Clubhouse's terms and conditions of service, you are agreeing to allow your content to be shared.
Shared and streamed as
Yes, there are a lot of people that stream their rooms from Clubhouse to X. And vice
And they stream it on YouTube. I mean, John is not the first. Folks streaming these rooms on YouTube has been going on for a couple years now.
So I guess in my mind, I've been blaming him as the only person that's been doing it. That hasn't.
David, I think I'm just the best at it, but I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Well, maybe the most prolific, who would say that.
Most consistent.
And John is more like in my opinion, and he'll probably disagree, but I think this is more of a social experiment. I don't know what he's going to do with the end. I feel like he should put together the top 10 Clubhouse voices, or make it a seasonal thing. Season 1 on Clubhouse, season 2. Here's the best episodes. I don't feel like he's fully brainstormed and thought out his social experiment. Now it just seems kind of chaotic and just posted across multiple platforms on YouTube. But there needs to be some sort of docu-style series done with his work.
And I think that I'm beginning to understand that it's good to hear that he's not the only one. And of course, we have the habit in other rooms. He probably knows which ones they are. Of just blaming him, and that's not the case. I mean, this is just something that we've agreed to by being here, and I'm slowly becoming. But I'm comfortable with it, aware of it, and realizing that I've been blaming him solely, but it really isn't.
But David, if I can't become a candle and attract moths, I mean, what kind of real value am I bringing to the marketplace?
I've heard you say that before, and I won't belabor the issue. I appreciate all the clarification.
John, I would like to ask you a question. Are you available?
Yes, please proceed with your question to ask.
Do you feel thankful towards David that he just seemed to express development along a continuum of accepting you as a reporter?
No, I've heard David say this. I've heard David say the same thing all the time. I mean, it's nothing new.
I just need to get my mind wrapped into reality.
By the way, David, I think it's fucked up for whatever that's worth, but I do think
Thank you.
just the way it is. I got over it.
Don't hate me, hate Anonymous.
John is clever.
I'm somewhere on the scale behind you, but it's going up.
Plus due credit.
You can get as angry with Anonymous as you want, but John Kitover is a real person.
Oh, yeah. We don't deny that. Big as life and twice as real, as we say that.
I think we're opening Staples Overton windows today. Good work.
Wow. That's actually exciting.
Wow, Anonymous is breaking open people's Overton windows. Please explain, Brian.
They now just don't see the small picture where it's nobody recording. Everybody's recording now.
I didn't say nobody, but
anybody, sorry.
Wait, gentlemen, we're in the muff. Dismal, can I ask you, how can I Overton window your muff?
Sorry, do you mind potentially changing the topic?
Sure. I'm sorry to belabor that.
Do you mean the poll too?
Yeah, I would mean the poll as well, of course. It's a little insulting, right? It's directed at me. So.
I agree. I would like a poll to ask how many of us.
The poll's question is because it's literally just basically an assault against me. So it's kind of weird.
I mean, to be honest, it's calling into question the accusation that was made in the room, which is done multiple times via poll feedback.
Yes.
Sorry, what? Sorry, this was not something. This is my name is
question
Digital.
to one of the 4 people who have the power to
perhaps like
Other people
somebody
can talk
that's
about
like the Green Bean crowd, like Serena, York, Kristen. Maybe one of you could just.
So how do you think it needs to go down, but the rest of us can't talk about why it's okay to leave it up?
Yes, Victoria, I will be happy to amend the poll that was because of your claim that you were the only lady left on Clubhouse. Let me remove that right now.
Yeah, the statement was claimed that you're the only lady left on Clubhouse. So
Correct.
we took the poll, Maybe Brad may have some input. There we go. That one. I was going to ask Brad. Brad, are there many ladies left on the app? Ismo says she's the only one.
Is this a definition question?
No, I didn't say that, and the three ladies that have the.
I'm actually glad we have a recording of you saying that now.
We do.
Sorry, is this a gotcha game? Like,
not at all.
They did make that claim. Yes, they will say things that are out of context, and I would imagine that would be the case for that, because I don't believe that, and that's incredibly interesting. Thank you.
Well, for the record, I'm not giving you any shit at all. I have no smoke for you, Dismo. But we all did hear you say some variation of perhaps I'm the only lady left on the app. And so
it was a joke. It was definitely a joke.
Of course, no problem. Yes, and I took umbrage to it. Yeah. So the poll was probably trolling you in some way over that statement. I think we were just having a little fun because I answered what is a lady. I mean, I know what a lady is, but I just wanted to put on my liberal tin hat and go full-blown liberal by asking what is a lady.
Are you sure you know what a lady is these days?
I don't. According to the liberals, the ladies have dicks, so I don't know.
That's also kind of trolling in a different way, like a very far-fetching manner, and that honestly, if that's what we're if this is the reduction of how we're going to treat individuals, yeah.
Okay, so
You did come into the room, right?
Brad, thank you.
I was in bad service driving down the road, so a comment was in the other room about how these National Guard soldiers are not trained on how to deal with civilians, this and that, when most of the National Guard, they are supposed to help both their country and their region. And to say that they're not trained on how to deal with people who are in a stressed out environment, I think is false and not a true claim. Now, the way the military handles things versus an average police department, we can have a conversation regarding that. But I really do like how some people just want to say, oh, they're not police, so they've had no training whatsoever or no common sense. It just seems funny to me.
Wait, who made the comment that the National Guard aren't trained in tactics to deal with civilians or issues that involve civilian populations?
I don't remember, but that's what I heard about why they shouldn't be unleashed in D.C. I was driving, so I didn't see it.
Well, someone better recall the National Guard before, they get deployed for another, hurricane, wildfire.
Yeah, FEMA event.
Yeah, we should get rid of them. Oh, flooding events. It was Black Hawk helicopters I saw in the sky during the flooding event in Texas when I was down there trying to pull people out. Shit. Fuck, what would we get those guys out of there? They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, so I just want to bring that point up because that kind of rubbed me wrong, even though I don't agree with some of the people that are in the National Guard and how they overabuse their power like anybody else who has power over someone. They're not that horrible.
So does the National Guard, when they're deployed, right, in this particular case? Oh, okay. A little louder, and in English, please. Okay.
what is? Oh, wait a second. No. So who controls the National Guard? Is it? I know this is a stupid question. Is it Trump directly?
No, it's the governor of the state.
But DC, I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised, right? So you got to understand this. D.C. is a federal city, so the president is the governor. Okay? He can do whatever he wants. As far as when it comes to, the Congress, all of that, they're in control of the city.
Yeah, D.C. Famously has taxation without representation on their license plates.
Thank you. Exactly. So he's doing exactly what he can do because it's a federal city. And unfortunately, like dude said, I don't know, like the National Guard is getting, most of the people in the National Guard are actually from the city. Like your National Guard personnel is made up of the people from that state. Like if y'all understand that, if you're from Washington D.C., you want to go to the Army, but you don't want to go to the you don't want to be active duty, you'll be in the D.C. National Guard. You go to the Stadium Army and all that. So listen, what I'm telling you.
Trap. So what my question though was,
DC is.
Can you allow him to finish?
Yeah, I'm gonna get off your mind. DC National Guard is incapable of handling crowds because that depends on who you are and how you feel about it. That is a personal opinion. In my opinion, the crime is bad. In my opinion,
Has the crime gotten worse? Let's just say, like, over the last 4 years, for example. Like, would you say that the crime got worse?
It don't have nothing to do with who president, who this, that. Well, actually, it does have to do with Democrat policies, unfortunately. Like, Democrats are just more lenient towards the bullshit, and there's a lot of kids, and listen.
Can you let him finish his thought? Like, let's let him finish his thought.
You're doing that, but I would love to hear it, but I wanted to just give a
Wait, okay, hold on. 3 to 4, please. Trap, go ahead. Yeah, well, we have 3 to 4, 5, I think it might be more than that. Teenage girls, beating up an elderly man to death. There's a problem with that. Like, that's not something that teenage girls usually do. So the city is fucked up. The city been fucked up. I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but it's been held under Democrat control since forever. And unfortunately, this is what happens in these type of cities. So unfortunately, Trump is just not sweeping the shit under the rug because it's Washington D.C. like y'all like to be. Like, listen, they've been sweeping this shit under the rug since forever. It's Washington D.C. They don't want you to know how fucked up the city really is. So when the veil has been lifted and nobody gives a fuck about the fake ambiance of the shit, yeah, it's gutter in the middle of the night. Not even in the middle of the night. It's gutter if your ass is in the wrong place at the wrong time. So
I would agree with you.
Not from DC, you don't know.
DC is. I lived in DC. I know DC.
Where did you live at?
Over decades, so I definitely know it.
Where?
I know it well. I know that it is challenging.
Where did you
It is.
Okay, well, we have two perspectives from two different people who lived in DC and have different opinions, just like Trapper
No, I would say
I think that's great.
I don't think I have a different opinion.
Are you interrupting Ahmad? I think you should check the house rules. Should I be Roger for a minute and read the house rules to everybody?
Sorry.
Okay,
I didn't
just like
realize
Trap
that you
said, that the opinion of the situation about how crime bad is in Washington D.C. really does come down to personal preference.
I would say, like, I agree with Trap though, and so you were trying to define like that we had two different opinions, and in fact, I would agree with him.
Oh, okay. So you think it's bad too?
I do. Yes. No, I think it's incredibly terrible. Honestly.
So I just have a question, Victoria, respectfully. If you agree with this man, why did you keep interrupting him? Why didn't you just let him finish?
Because I was trying to ask him, like, whether he thought that there was any, like, difference, like, going forward, because he seemed to make it very political when I don't think it is.
Okay. Well, cool. Moving on. Bina, I know you had something to say. Would you like the mic?
Hey, thank you. I went to whitehouse.gov. I got my answer. Section 3, this was published today. So it's not the governor. This is interesting. Okay, so This is executive order from today, August 11, 2025, and the section 3 says that the operational control would be, so the authority of the president conferred by section 740A of the Home Rule Act, he directs the mayor with respect to the current special to control the MP, the Metropolitan Police, but then he delegated it to the Attorney General. So the Attorney General is going to make the decisions.
Yes, sweetheart, I think you missed it. I don't know why you even brought that up. The point is that the president is the governor of Washington, D.C.
Right, it's the governor in other states, Bima, but
it's the
D.C. is
governor
not a
of the
state.
D.C. is not a state, so we don't have a governor. Federal government.
Yeah, you're correct. That was only my question. My question was who is controlling, who is directing. I just wanted to know who's going to be directing it, and I didn't get a clear answer, so I just wanted to share that.
So I just wanted to jump in. So is somebody like did I hear this correct, Victoria? You're opposed, or what is it, Ismal, or whatever it is? You're opposed to National Guard being in DC?
I think you're trying to stir up something that that was not
I think it was a simple question. No, she doesn't think they should be there. Listen, my mother drives I'm out of DC because of that. Once you do that, but my mother drives an AMG Benz, right? I want her to be able to ride around DC and go get her wine, do whatever the fuck she want to do, nice and safe and sound. She worked hard for her shit. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, there's a lot of crime and bullshit that go on in that city that y'all don't know about. Okay, it's not safe for the average resident. It's not even safe for no white person. Man.
Yeah, and that wasn't also, like, I just want to be very clear, that wasn't the conversation